All right, so hanging out in Boulder this entire week. We're in midweek at this point, and it's Boulder Startup Week, which, let's just talk about that for a second. Actually, let's just talk about it a lot, because I think that this event, for those that are experienced entrepreneurs, business owners, startups, whether you just started yesterday, because we've met people that literally just started 2 days ago, and people that have been around for decades. I think this is definitely an event for any of you. They have like this marketing track, they have like founder tracks, accelerator tracks, funding tracks. They actually have aerospace, they have, climate, they actually have like a health track, like all of these tracks. Anything that you're into, you're definitely going to find here. All right, so maybe I should actually start off with, the why of, why we're here, how we got here, like kind of how we put ourselves out there. And I think this is like the message that I want to portray or, give you, is that, so we're still a very small company. I mean, we're trying to do video that's more of a commercial nature. We're trying to capture as much as we can for small businesses, for big businesses, conferences. We've already done a conference. And so this is like a week-long event that we said, you know what, we really want to rock something like this out. Like, we want to see if we can do it. Like, for the entire week, film the whole week. So based on that, we knew what we wanted to do. We knew what we were trying to go for. And so there was this volunteer meeting, and we were able to meet the staff of Boulder Startup Week and basically just kind of give them a pitch to say, like, hey, listen, we're trying to build our portfolio. We're trying to actually put something together that, like, not only, like I said, helps build our brand, but also kind of tells the story of Boulder and Boulder Startup Week and like why you need to be here. And we put ourselves out there saying, hey, we will give you that time. And it was kind of amazing, because at the volunteer meeting, we thought that we were going to be like bombarded by like tons of filmmakers in the room, and like we were like one of the only ones. And so like Boulder Startup, like the entity itself, the organization, was like, yeah, we're all over this. This is amazing. Like, whatever you need, whatever access you need. And then people, like other businesses, had approached us and said, we love what you're trying to do for Boulder Startup Week. We'd love to actually work, with you in some capacity. And so we're actually here working with other businesses, other brands, to help them with their messaging. And so I know like plenty of filmmakers out there, especially the experienced ones, say like, your time is valuable, your time is money. Don't work for free. It's not worth it. But here's what I have to say, like, we put ourselves out there, we're volunteering for something like this. I mean, this gives us an opportunity and access to film pretty much like whatever we want. And so that kind of opportunity is like unlimited potential. And from that has, like, we've spun out like opportunities to actually work with businesses for like paid gigs, like, like currently and for the future. And so I think at this point, this is where you actually have to do a self-assessment. This is about like what it is that you want out of your filmmaking and photography career. And you really just kind of have to take a look and say, like, is this worth it? For us, it's totally worth it, because things are going to really blow up from here on out for a little while at least. So I think what I wanted to highlight about this is that, so at Boulder Startup, so there's a base camp, and that's at Galvanize. There's this co-working place, and there's offices there too, and that's actually where like everything kind of jumps off from. And there's a lot of like workshops that happen. So there are very experienced entrepreneurs out there that are providing these workshops. Here, let me sit down. So as I was saying, there are these really experienced entrepreneurs, people who know what they're doing. They're like mentors to the group. I mean, essentially, like, they're there giving their pitch on whatever lane that they're in. And like I said, there's all of these like tracks that they have. And what they're doing is like they're presenting, and then people are like, have opportunities to actually ask questions and engage with those speakers. And sometimes it's multiple speakers in a workshop. But I think the value proposition here is that, first off, it's just an investment of time. This thing is free. I mean, this is a free event for the entire week of Boulder. Now, I know many of you are like, I don't live in Boulder, but there may be something very similar on a smaller scale and even a larger scale. You got to look for it, because I know people are always like stuck. I mean, I don't care like how much bravado you have, how successful you are, there's still moments where you feel stuck. And when you're around people, like-minded people, it can kind of help you get unstuck, because you're like, oh, right, I'm having that same pain point, or I have that same issue. And then you're kind of like, you're like, oh, all right, so I'm not alone. I'm not like someone that's just like, this is like odd for me. This is something that's, just isolated to me. So I can get this stuff done too. Like, I can actually get over this hurdle. I can actually break through that ceiling. All right, so let's talk about the people for a moment here. I mean, if you're looking for your tribe, like no matter what kind of ideas you have, you could be a gamer, you could sell on eBay, you could have a YouTube channel, you could be any kind of online marketer, whatever it is that you're doing. Because I know that some of you that are watching this, maybe you do want to be a creator, maybe you want to be a better creator. And this is the type of event where you're going to meet your tribe. I mean, yeah, like we can have a conversation. I'm talking to a camera, but I'm really talking to you. And I know that we can build these online communities, but as far as like a dense, like the possibility of like having like so many more people, so much more access to the possibilities of meeting someone that is like your tribe, meeting someone that speaks to you, not like talks to you, but actually speaks to you here. I mean, an event like it's just an investment of time. It's free. And not every city has this, not every town has this, but for those that do, I mean, look at your calendar, try to carve time out. Like if you have to take a little vacation time, it is so worth it, because the equity that you will get, the equity that you actually have access to, because these people's minds that are just full of information, that are willing to actually share that information, it's unlimited. I mean, it's so worth it to like take personal time off of your job, like if you have one, so that you can actually do this. If you're having trouble with a start, if you're having trouble with a certain type of launch, it could be a small problem, it could be a big problem. Something like this, the time investment could be worth, well, I don't know, like you have to put the dollar amount on it, but it could be huge for your business. All right, so day 4 of Boulder Startup Week, and heading to an AI and 3D printing event. Pretty geeky over there, so that's actually where I'm heading from downtown over back near my studio. So not that, AI necessarily kind of brings this up, but it's just the whole event itself, because been here 4 days, only been able to vlog so far just the 2 days, just in like bursts because we're filming everything else. It just kind of leads me to the whole notion of stretching. And I don't mean like the whole thing about stretching before you go on a run or you work out or whatever, although very important. I'm actually just talking about like creatively, professionally, as an individual, to actually, move the needle for yourself, to actually push through that ceiling, break through that ceiling, get over that hurdle, and just stretch like a lot. So we've tried to compile as much of the footage as possible and put out these storylines and, Post-it notes and everything into like a workflow. It's a lot of work. But the thing is that if we didn't stretch on this project, and, like I've been saying, like I'm really just starting out. Like I don't have like decades of experience doing this. Like I'm just putting myself out there, taking risks, taking chances, and stretching a ton. Like that stretchy guy that, I had like when I was a kid, until basically you thought his head was going to pop off. Sometimes I feel like that. I mean, I think that's, the vulnerable piece is that you're like, how can I get all this stuff done? But, by stretching a little bit, it does help move you, or at least it helps drive me, and it could potentially help drive you. So when you're feeling like stuck, when you're feeling like there's no way I could do something like that, why don't you just test yourself and put yourself out there? Because rather saying to yourself like, well, they're not going to hire me, I don't have enough experience, I don't think I'm good enough, if there's just no way, I don't have the equipment. Good grief, just take a chance on yourself. Somebody will actually take a chance on you if you just take a chance on yourself. I mean, that's just mindset. All right, so let's summarize, shall we? So If you're interested in becoming a professional filmmaker or photographer, then you likely have some piece of equipment. If you already have a camera, don't worry about going out and spending thousands of more dollars to buy equipment that you don't really need right now. Just get familiar with what you have so that you can actually use it in that professional capacity. If you don't actually have a camera, smartphone. Look, adaptive lens. You can even get an external mic that fits into this phone. Don't get caught up in the tech, just get familiar with it and use it. Second, actually find a group that you can align with. Now, you may not have access to an entire week like we did here at Boulder Startup. However, there may be a meetup group or some sort of organization that actually meets that's free, that you can actually get in front of and talk to them about whatever service that you're trying to provide. Align with something that speaks to you. Align with something that you've actually tried or experienced, and something that like really, you can storytell, right? Something that you feel like you can effectively help them tell that story because it's something that you actually enjoy doing. If you actually have a hard time networking with people and talking to people, it's okay to actually work with someone. Do you have a friend or a colleague that's also into photography and filmmaking that may be able to help you with those connections? It's okay. You don't have to go it alone if you don't want to. Third, get yourself a business card. These are very inexpensive to make, and you can get something from Vistaprint or Moo Cards or wherever, and get these because people will start asking for them, and you just kind of want to have them handy. Fourth, if you don't actually have a website, that's okay for right now. I do think websites are important. However, get yourself a YouTube channel. Now, if you have a personal account and you have all kinds of crazy videos on there that you don't want people to see, well, maybe you need to create another account. Here's the thing. Don't worry about the subscriber count. Just create a space where you can put a portfolio together, where you can actually experiment a little bit. That's one of the reasons why I have this YouTube channel. I mean, yes, I share my personal life, but it's also a way for me to experiment with things in post-production and to get better at storytelling. So I experiment here so that when it comes time to do client work, I can actually do that work for them and be better at it because I've already tried it out on this channel. Also, if you're actually doing work on spec, keep the scope of work realistic. Now, we actually did this entire video that I'll link up later once it's all complete, but we did that work on spec. However, we connected with other businesses throughout, and so just be realistic with those expectations, because I can tell you personally, we were up until 4 in the morning editing a video for a client, and literally I was in the passenger seat of the car on the way to the meeting in the morning, just making some final edits so that we could actually show them. So figure out that kind of relationship, try to establish those terms from the beginning and that scope of work from the beginning and those expectations, although creatively we end up getting in our own heads anyway and we're just perfectionists. That's all it comes down to. But again, be realistic with the work, especially if it's on spec. All right, so in the summary or the grand summary or whatever you want to call it, hopefully you found some of this information helpful and inspiring. And if you did, be sure to hit that like button. And if you want to stay tuned for more vlogs and more helpful information about photography, tech, reviews, how-tos, all that stuff that's coming to this channel, be sure to subscribe. I'm encouraging you to take action right now. Go out there and do something meaningful, keep rocking faces, and we'll catch you on the next one.